South Wales, the government is fighting to get on top of Sydney's Delta outbreak. Thousands of businesses, as you know, are in a battle for survival. Stuart Knox runs a restaurant and wine bar in the heart of the Sydney city, and tragically, he's had to stand down all of his staff during this latest outbreak. It's a heartbreaking reality. We saw it here in Victoria. It's now being faced by so many in Sydney. Stuart joins me now from his restaurant. Stuart, I really appreciate your time. I want to, on this program, like I did in Victoria last year, highlight real people at the coalface and what you are going through. Your staff are incredibly important to you. You can't pay them because you're not earning any money. It's been tough on them. It's tough on you. How are you holding up?
Hi, Peter. It's a pleasure to chat to you. Look, it's stressful. There's no argument about that. This is going back to how I felt in March when we had that first lockdown. Just there's a lot of unknowns out there, and a lot of things that, like, there's so many variables that you're trying to think of. But I have to say that it was probably the hardest moment. We've been here almost 15 years to have those conversations with all my employees and say, I'm going to have to stand you down for the moment.
So, of course, when you're not earning an income as a business, you've still got your rent, you've still got your insurances, you've still got your stock load, you've still got all the other overheads. That's the issue, isn't it?
Well, that's exactly it. We can mothball the business to a certain degree, but in the end of the day, there's the lights, the fridges stay on. There's things in insurance, as you said, the rent. I'm talking with the landlord about our rent, but it's everything. All of those things keep rolling along, and all those bills keep coming in and piling up. So I'm conscious and acutely aware at the moment. There's just this sort of a large build-up of expenses that I'm not making any inroads into.
So what do your staff do if you can't keep them on because you've got no income? What do your staff do?
Well, as they are all on the COVID disaster payment, and so that is going some way to helping their household finances. But obviously, it's $500 is better than nothing, but it's not a full-time wage by any stretch of the imagination. I've got 5 full-time staff, 3 part-time, and multiple casuals who are all using that partial payment. But they're sort of stuck at home trying to work out how they're going to get through this same financial crisis for them as well.
And of course, the small business owner has presumably a home mortgage and all the other costs that you have, and you're not earning an income, and you've got the business overheads. There was announcements from the Prime Minister and the New South Wales Premier this afternoon from Kirribilli House, more economic support for businesses. Will that help you?
Look, the announcement, as far as I know the details of, will be great for my industry. For my actual individual restaurant, unfortunately, no. As far as I can tell, because my employees are completely stood down, that 40% of my wage bill, it doesn't do anything because my income is 100% down. We can't pivot to takeaway where we are in the city because there's no one in the city actually looking for takeaway.
How long can you hang on? I mean, if this goes on for another month, what's that look like for you?
It's going to get pretty ugly. I think I can see myself. I don't have an issue, I think, for another couple of weeks. Anything more than that, I've got to start pulling some big emergency ripcords to try and work my way through it. That's a lot of those things are somewhat out of my hand as well. Like it's going to come down to my landlord's ability to come to an agreement with me as well. There's a lot of other factors in there that I'm really going to have to try and work my way through.
Well, I made the point on this show a number of times, Stuart. We talk about people taking a laptop home and working from home and the money keep coming in, but millions of people, that's such a middle class thing to talk about. Millions of people actually work in the service industry. Millions of people don't have the option to cut hair via a laptop in their living room, or in your case, serve a bottle of wine from a laptop in your living room. It just doesn't work for many businesses. Do you think government really understands that?
Look, yeah, exactly. I'd love to be able to do my job remotely. I could go think of all sorts of places I could go and do it. But yes, obviously I have to be here on the floor, opening bottles of wine, carrying plates of food. And yes, you're right. There's millions of people in the service industry that can't do that. And I do think we do feel a bit left behind and sort of ignored. This whole COVID thing has been all about it's winners and losers. There's people that are sitting at home and can still earn their full income from the comfort of their own lounge room, and there's millions of us that are just stuck sort of out on the cliff edge, waiting to see whether we step back or step over.
Yeah, and I think that disparity is, you're absolutely right. You're right, Stuart, that disparity is really stark, particularly in the lockdown period. I really appreciate your time tonight. I know my viewers want to hear from people like you on the front line. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for the chat, Peter. Thank you.
It's Stuart Knox from the Fix Wine Bar. I tell you what, when we're out of this, fingers crossed he's there too, and his staff are back. Please go and support him there in the Sydney CBD.